You're listening to the Voice of Reason. I'm Dr. Lynn Saputo here with my son, David Saputo. Francesco is not able to attend today, so we're going to dig a little deeper into some of the things that David researches all the time, that is overwhelming us with information. So thank you, David, for that. It takes up a lot of my time, but it's really good material, and it takes it a level deeper. And now that things have happened with Fauci losing his prince status in the country, and looking like he has been undermining the truth ever since this thing started a year and a half ago, lots of questions have to be asked. One of them is, why do we need a vaccine when survival rates are near 100%? And why, when we have treatment that's available, that's effective and safe and affordable, should we use a vaccine? Especially when it's experimental, definitely not safe and marginally effective. So David is always presenting information to us that probably is 3 or 4 hours a day of research. And I want to acknowledge him for that, because it's made a big difference in how we put information together. And a lot of that information is censored. We've been censored by Facebook, and by, I'm sure by Twitter is the next thing that would happen, although I don't use Twitter myself. So you're going to get the real truth of what we think today. So, David, welcome to the show. And what do you think we should start with? You talk about Dr. Fauci and what's happened and how that's affected everything else. What do you think that Fauci actually represents?
Oh, we can get into Fauci. We like to call him Leprechaun Fauci. Actually, I think that came from the Mike Adams interview with you.
Right.
It's a complicated thing, but I see Fauci as being the fall guy in this debacle. He's been neck deep in this stuff since I don't
January
know,
of last year.
Probably for 30 years.
Okay, that's true too. Yeah.
He goes way back. And they kind of just fried him with the information that's coming out. And the interesting thing is we knew this a year ago with the lab leaks and all the stuff, but I'm not fully convinced that, I'm convinced there was gain of function, but I'm not convinced that the gain of function was actually the actual COVID. I think it's the vaccine, which he's been funding along with the other people involved in this scenario. And the gain of function stuff's been going back to at least 2011, 2012, as far as I can see. And it probably goes further back. Sure. So Fauci's a bad guy. And he should be, I'm going to put it bluntly, he should be tried. And he should be tried for crimes against humanity, period. Bottom line, it should be in a court. It should be the rule of law. Let's not go extreme here, but he needs to be put under oath, and he needs to be held accountable for what he's doing. And that's my opinion.
Right. Well, it's mine too. And I think a lot of America is coming to see that now that we're even seeing it on the mainstream in television. If you go to Fox, it's Fauci did this and Fauci did that. Mm-hmm. And it's really just revealing the things that we knew all along, but America wasn't ready for it. They wanted a prince of medicine. They wanted to believe the things he said. And when he changed his mind about whatever he changed it about, like the mask, at first, you don't need a mask. It's not that important. And then a few months later, it was, well, we should use a mask for sure. And then finally it was, well, you should wear 2 masks. And you start to wonder, why is he doing, why can't he keep his story straight? So it's time that we get to seek the truth on this, because he could be the person who really was instrumentally responsible for everything that happened in Wuhan, because he funded it and even worked on sending people to do the work there. So it's not like he didn't know it, but he covered it up, as he's covered up so many other things too.
Well, he's not only covered it up, but he's given a lot of flip-flopping false information and confusing the public on all this stuff. The whole mask stuff is just outrageous. And now that the emails are coming out, and who knows where those came from. I don't think they were as easy to get as they got them. And I think he was really actually, he's going to be the scapegoat here, which is fine. He should go down. And we'll see how that plays out. But the information that he's been putting out is, I mean, how can you even make any sense out of anything that's going on with what he's been saying for, you know, what, 18 months now?
Oh, yeah.
It makes it real hard to decipher what is going on until you understand what really is going on. And we'll dive into this a little deeper, but
How do you
I
think
don't know.
how do
Go
you
ahead.
think this fits in with Bill Gates? You know that there's a relationship between the two. How deep do you think it goes from what you?
It goes to Gates for sure. And you notice Gates is in the background right now. You're not hearing a peep out of him because I think Fauci's a little lower than Gates, and Fauci is going to be the what do you want to call it, sacrificial lamb.
The one that's going to get thrown under the bus.
He is. He's getting thrown under the bus,
which is appropriate.
It is appropriate, but what's going to happen to him really? I mean, we don't know. I mean, is this really going to go anywhere? I mean, if the mainstream's coming out with this 18 months later, right? Or 14 months from when we first concluded that it was a bio.
Yeah.
Why now? And why all of a sudden would we trust the mainstream? I smell a rat here, and I've been researching this kind of stuff since 9/11. Okay, and even you understand a lot of this because we have a group that's been meeting that we're not going to divulge names and get into things, but they're highly intelligent people, and we have seen what's playing out going on for, I don't know, 15, 20 years.
We've been meeting, once a week for a couple of hours with some good people.
Some really highly credible, intelligent people. Okay. And if they want to come forward sometime and talk, we'll let them do it. But right now, we'll just keep them out of it. But trust us when we say these people are highly credible and intelligent and hold positions that are big time stuff.
What do you think? What do you think the relationship is, David, with the economics and this whole event, this pandemic? How do they fit together, and where's it leading?
Well, you're going into a financial collapse. I mean, you can't just print and print and print money. You can't do it. And you know, I hate to use the word hyperinflation, but it's what you're going. It's where you're it's going, and that's an issue. You can see the prices of things skyrocketing right now, but there's multiple layers to that. And some of it is the big corporations taking over, holding on to stuff. The second part is the supply lines that are getting choked out. I mean, you see food in the grocery store right now, but honestly, they don't have the backup supply, okay, to keep going. They're going on what's coming in daily because the supply lines are so pinched. I mean, worldwide.
So why are they pinched? Why are we having problems? Or why will we have worsening problems with food supply?
Well, because this conspiracy, which it is, it's not a theory, goes way deeper than just what you're seeing with COVID. I mean, I mean, now you're getting into the Great Reset and Klaus Schwab and all these lunatics that are trying to take over and take control of the world. And I mean, we're not just getting hit with this so-called COVID virus that was no worse than the swine flu was back in 2009. Okay. Right. Why else would they fudge all the numbers?
Just as they did then.
Tests, right? And we can keep going down the line. I know we don't have a lot of time to get into all of this stuff, but we can touch it a little bit. So they had to fake everything to make now we're getting back to the virus, which is part of where we're going here, which really was nothing more than a flu. They had to use fake tests. They had to use fake deaths. And they had to use fear in the media and everything else to ramp this up. And it caused a panic. So they're not only coming at us with that angle, and then you have the actual bioweapon, in my opinion, from the research that I've done, and it's been extensive, is really actually the vaccine and the spike protein and what they're doing. And you could touch on that more because you're the doctor.
Well, you hit off something that a lot of immunologists that are world-class immunologists, very famous people, have come out and they're talking about that too. And the research, as you mentioned, that came out of the Salk Institute said that it's actually the spike protein itself that's causing a lot of the symptoms and problems of COVID-19. But I don't think we really understand that relationship very well. You can do a scientific study where you take spike proteins and you inject it into the bloodstream of animals, and what happens is they die from it. They have heart problems, they have brain problems, they have all kinds of immune problems, and they die regularly. That we know that. So it's not something that's just a small problem. And we have to start looking at what some of these doctors are saying that are literally the stars of immunology of the world when they tell us that this spike protein is a problem. But it's not just that simple, because the people who are making the most spike protein are the people who've had the vaccine. And if they're making it indefinitely, we don't know that they do or they don't, but we know that they're continuing to manufacture it because that's how the messenger RNA works. They should be the ones who are dying quickly, not over a long period of time, but quickly. And if people are exposed to them, the idea of shedding to other people, well, it makes a little bit of sense, but they should not be anywhere near as involved as the people who are manufacturing it and have the highest concentrations. So there's more to that than just this, but it's a piece that was overlooked because this is something that's toxic. That's a real problem. So that's a good point.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a piece of the puzzle, and that's why when you rush a vaccine, that should have been, I mean, if you're going to be pro-vaccine, which I would be, I mean, I am if it works.
If it's safe and it works, yeah.
If it's safe and effective, which is what they quote,
yeah,
which we all know is complete utter BS. But
those are just lies. That's right.
They're lies, and then you're getting into Fauci and Gates in this whole cabal. But it was never approved. And all the animals and all the stuff in the studies for the mRNA stuff that I know of,
most of them
cause complications and problems. And you guys have covered this the whole time.
Sure.
But for something that's been out for, what has it been, 6 months?
Not even, yeah.
Not even. And what we're seeing from bears and everything else, because I feed you a lot of the information on this, and I have to read it.
Right.
I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. There's just no way.
So when you look at all this, and you see what's happening, you have to try and put things together, even though my job as a doctor is not to do that. It's more to see what's actually happening from the scientific point of view and from the clinical point of view, which we have done. But we're still at the point where we have to ask, why would anybody create a disease that is doing all kinds of bad things economically, politically, health-wise? People are getting the wrong idea of what's happening. They're standing in line to get a vaccine that's not safe and not effective. When you look at the data carefully, that's clear, despite the facts that you hear from the CDC, the FDA, Fauci, and from the World Health Organization. Those are all things that make me wonder why. And then you add censorship onto it. You have all the censorship that's in the on the internet and in the news and in the papers, something's going wrong. And we have to be able to put that together, but we don't have a way of doing that. I know.
Yes, we,
Well, that's where it comes to you, and it's part of why we're having this particular episode of A Voice of Reason. So I'm curious of some of the possibilities that you might see, that you might share with us. It'll help us to get some ideas of what may be happening.
okay. Well, I mean, first of all, most people don't realize it in this country, but this is global. Okay.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
not just an attack on America. It's not necessarily just the Chinese or the Russians or whatever's being thrown at you from, the mainstream. My advice would be to just shut the mainstream off. And that'll, first of all, will bring your fear level down. And then you got to start digging into, okay, so what's going on in the UK? What's going on in Australia? What's going on in Sweden?
Yep.
What's going on in India? This is a worldwide global event that they're not only BSing you with COVID, they're not only doing what they're doing with the vaccines that are looking like they are the actual gain of function bioweapon, and I would roll with that, but we don't know the implications of that because it's too soon. But I think we're going to find out, and there's good people figuring that out.
Yeah.
They're locking people down.
Yeah.
Okay. They're crashing economies. Okay. Now you're beyond a trifecta. You're still going. Now we're talking vaccine passports. You can't travel. What's going on in Australia is absolutely insane with what the police are doing, and the same thing in the UK. And what's going on in India, I think a lot of people don't realize that most of the deaths there are actually coming from starvation. And that's where the food crops that Gates has taken over, there's that name again, good old Mr. Bill, it took over the country with, not only did he kill half of Africa with his vaccines, but and now he's in charge of the GMO crops that are just not sufficient. They're collapsing the food supply at the same time. Okay, so this is stuff that we started to see that could happen when I first got into all of this, 15, 20 years ago. And you're like, yeah, I could see it going that way. In the last 2 years, it's in hyperdrive. It's insane. So you're getting hit, and now you're possibly talking about wars, world war here, which is highly, highly possible at this point.
Well, there's a kind of war now going on that's a cyber war, and it's certainly it's a bio war. It's just not an atomic bomb war.
No.
Troops aren't shooting bullets. They're doing it in other ways because the U.S. is collapsing.
It is, and the infrastructure is getting hammered with cyber attacks. Okay,
yeah. Right.
And it's collapsing everything, and then you're getting weird, phenomenal droughts that are going on. I mean, here's an example of stupidity and what's going on. Okay, California, we had a dry year.
Yeah,
I'm in North Idaho, by the way.
I know where you're going.
But so it's had ebb and flows of big wet years and dry years. Last year, at one point, all of the reservoirs in most of California were at between 105, if I can remember the statistics on this, it was between 105 and 140% of capacity for all the reservoirs, right? Like Shasta and, everything, even all the way back to Hetch Hetchy and all that stuff up there in Nevada and all this. And so there was enough water to transfer it from NorCal to SoCal into the desert, in, you know, everywhere, to last. They had a seven-year reserve on this water.
Wow.
And so they had a dry winter this year. We won't get into why it was dry, but we probably go down that rabbit hole sometime. But so what did they do? They started draining the reservoirs and running them straight into the ocean. Okay, this has been going on for, I think, 4 months now, to where there is a statewide drought. Okay, because the water didn't get diverted down south where it's supposed to go, or to where all the farming is. It got dumped in the frickin' ocean. Okay. Wow. And we can post the links to this stuff. It's real.
It'd be good if you do.
So what is going on here? They're attacking the food supply chain. Okay. This is a conspiracy.
Well, how could you see it any other way? Because it doesn't make any sense. So at the worst, it's somebody doing something stupid, but these aren't stupid people. These are smart people. So I'm not going to give them credit for being stupid. I'm going to give them credit for being devious and evil with what they're trying to do to create a disaster for the populations of the country.
Yeah, well, you're getting into the straight theory that Mr. Gates talks about again, population control.
Right. I wonder why he thinks that's so important. Do you have any idea why he thinks population control is so important?
Well, I don't know. Is he even human? That's a good question.
I don't want to go that far.
No, we won't go that far, but I mean, you're dealing with demonic people here that has an agenda that's really, I mean, if you want to call something Operation Warp Speed, I'd call this Warp Speed. How many angles have we been hit at with so many things in 18 months?
Yeah, you're right. And you got to start adding things up and trying to make sense. You have to try and make sense out of it. And you cannot make any scientific sense out of what's happened because there isn't any science here. And it bucks the actual scientists who are saying what they believe is right. And it's quite different from what they're saying. They can't back it up. And then they waffle, they keep changing it. And so, you know, there's something brewing, but you don't know exactly what, but you know, it's not good.
Oh, it's not good. I mean, when this first broke out, we had a real hard time trying to figure out what was going on because we were getting so much shifting around, flip-flops, and wear a mask, don't wear a mask, do this, do that, lockdown, do this.
Right.
You know, and at first it was like, okay, this could be serious, but you know what? After about 2 weeks, I think both of us came to the same conclusion that this is complete and utter BS.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Because they've used this playbook before. They've tried it multiple times. This time they're getting away with it, but not only that, they're pushing all the chips in on the table. They're all in. They're throwing everything at you, and they are absolutely collapsing the United States and the rest of the world.
Well, they're handing out money that we don't have, that we can't pay back, and telling people not to work, which takes care of the economy of the US. And where does that lead you? It leads you to a place where there's a breakdown in the food supply, in the supply chain. You may have problems with power. And then where do you go?
Well, then where do you go?
Yeah, well,
I'd say out of the cities.
Well, yeah, but it's still a real problem because you don't have an answer for that. And that's the direction that it's leading. But I think most people are thinking, oh, that can't be true. Nobody would do that. This can't be that sort of that evil of it. I mean, who would do that? And then you get yourself asking the question is, well, is this something that's on a much bigger level? Are we talking about something that's spiritual here? Is this spiritual warfare? Is it good against evil? And it's starting to look like that's the nucleus of where it's coming from. But again, it's very rude awakening. It's certainly for me. And I think
Well,
and most people won't even think of it that way. Although most people are spiritual, they don't think of it because they just don't.
well, then
That's how it is.
what are you going to do? I mean,
Well, that's what we're doing.
it,
It's what we're doing.
yeah, I know. I get you, and it's frustrating. You know, when you come out and start talking about stuff like this, because we have the background in it and the understanding. I mean, I studied the occult. I've studied the Bilderbergs, the Masons, all this stuff, the symbolism, the ancient history. Um, and this is stuff that was intriguing to dig into
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. But when you start seeing it unfold, I mean, you almost had an aha moment about 6 months ago. People that have been into this and understand it, especially with the occult stuff and Crowley and everything else that's going on there. Yes, this is a good and evil fight. And when you get that aha moment, you're like, holy, this is really happening right now. And you can see it unfold. And the masses are just, they're the sheep just following the herd.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work. We got a serious issue here.
Well, how does the Great Reset really connect with somebody like Klaus Schwab? And who is he? Tell us something about him and the Great Reset he's talking about.
Well, he's the guy that's on the upper echelons of the pyramid. Okay, so we'll just call him the cult, right? So I mean, I put it pretty well. It's the cult. We're not going to go way into that, but so he's the guy that is setting up the events, setting up the communications for this pyramid where he's up here and we're all the way down here. Okay, so they've had this planned out. It's basically the end game, right?
So
they've had this planned
50
out.
years of planning, something like that? Longer than 50 years?
Thousands.
Really?
This goes thousands of years back, okay, if you really understand it. He's just another pawn in the thing, but he's the guy. I mean, go look him up. Go listen to what he's saying. There's going to be a great reset, okay? And they're implementing this where you will own nothing. You will be continually surveilled. And if you're lucky enough to live through what's going on now, they will own you and you will be their slaves. This is where it's going.
So you're looking at communism.
Well, you call it that. I mean, you're talking complete control to where you're actually living in a prison planet, period.
Yeah, well, China is almost at that point right now. They have surveillance all over there's no place in China you can go that's not surveilled.
Well, you just wait.
Yeah.
When the 5G rolls out, people are signing up. They're buying series and all this Amazon, whatever they call all that stuff. I'm not into that end of the technology. Your smart bit watches and all this stuff. You're being tracked. I mean, we're being tracked right now. You can't escape it.
Well, how many satellites are out there looking down at us now?
Well, I think 50-something thousand that Musk put up.
Wow.
He's an evil too. He's the one that's implementing all this stuff, okay? And that grid is almost connected. Why do you think they're giving away 5G phones?
Yeah, well, they want it to be here and they want people to use it. It's sort of like they're giving away donuts for people who take the COVID vaccine.
They'll give you a donut a day, and then I mean, you can get into the 5G thing and how it's very possibly connected to what's going on with this virus, quote unquote.
Well, the problem with 5G is, yes, it's technologically more advanced, but the problem is it has not been studied. We don't, and I say we, I mean you and me and the public, don't know the medical effects or the psychological effects of 5G period, because there have been people who have published papers that are frightening. And I've reviewed that myself. In fact, I wrote a paper on it myself that was just like an investigative reporter that talked about the dangers of 5G.
Mhm.
And we don't know. It's again, it's an untested, unapproved. Well, it's approved, but based on what? Based on them deciding to do it without any explanations for why we have to have it, or why we're going to be doing something that could have very negative effects on our lives and our health.
Well, I think you're being very kind there, because I think that both of us know a little bit more about this because of certain people we're connected with.
Yeah, that's true.
You know this, I know this, but we're not going there.
Well, we'll give a small dose of it to people so they don't, think we're just wacko with a lot of the things we think and talk about. But you're right. We've done a lot of study on this, and the people that we surround ourselves do too. And I'll have to say that most people are afraid to do what you and I are doing right now.
Mhm.
They don't want to put they don't want to be targets. And I can't blame them for that. But, you got to, for me, the bottom line is whether or not I'm going to do something is ask the question, is this right?
Is it right?
And if it's right, I do it. And I'm afraid you have my genes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you look, I'll give you two examples of where I've seen the hammer come down on truth tellers. Just two. Number one is Mercola, who got threatened and had to pull a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff off his site. And the second one is what recently happened to Mike Adams, who, by the way, is an American hero, who is the guy that's allowing this platform and this material to happen. And you got to give him all the kudos in the world. He is a good dude.
Well, he
But
doesn't hold back. That's for sure.
yeah,
He says what he thinks. And if he thinks is right, he says it. And
yeah.
maybe he's not going to turn out to be right, but they're honest theories, honest hypotheses that he's putting it out there. So it's kind of like a wake up call.
And they're threatening him
Oh, big time.
big time, to where he had to retract stuff,
Yeah. Well,
for, stuff like something I just said, where I think Fauci should be tried.
yeah, right. Well, we've covered a lot of material in this show, and it's an introduction to our listeners to go a little bit deeper than what we've done up to this point. And it's deeper yet. You want to go down the rabbit hole further? Maybe in another show we can do that and include you and Francesco and me and see where that goes. So for now, it's I hope you take that our listeners all take this in the right the way it's intended. It's meant to be information to think about. We're not telling you these are facts. To the best of our knowledge, it's how we see things. And we hope that it'll get you thinking too. And maybe it'll stop some people who are thinking about taking this ridiculous vaccine, because I don't know any scientists who are really top scientists who think this is a great idea. Even the scientists that are really pro-vax, and I'm not anti-vax if it's a good vaccine, but I'm anti anything that's bad medicine. And this, in my mind, is absolutely that way. So I want to thank you, David, for being courageous enough to be on this show and to get this information out. And we'll have you back another time. And also want to thank you for all the good things that you've been doing to provide me and Francesco with information for these shows. So thank you very much.
Well, and thank you for having me. And people need to, maybe they get a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes,
Well,
so
that's
that
right.
you can have your shows. And we try to, with you and Francesco, we try to focus on the health and what's going on with COVID, because that's your realm. But it goes deeper.
Yeah.
And sorry if we freak some people out, but when the dots connect, the dots connect.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. And again, thank you, David.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.